This breakfast is good and cheap for two reasons. First, it's cheap. Second, it's good. It's a weekend, day off from university, so I have to do some work for university. Sometimes when I have a lot to do and don't know where to start, it helps to write it down in a notebook and split it into several days. I divide a page into 9 parts. Each corresponds to a different day of the week. Then I pour all the tasks in my head onto the paper and gradually distribute them over a few days, so I get them all done without overworking myself in a single day. We have a subject at university named where we'll be teaching a turtle to walk on a racing track. Here is a prototype of such a track. When we place the turtle in it, it's supposed to move in the direction encoded by a specific color. For example, if it's on blue, it will know it has to go up. On this darker green, it will know it has to go left, and so on. For the first stage, we had to create a map of the racing track, and it wasn't that simple to do in Canva. On the turns from one direction to another, for example from left to up, we needed a smooth transition between these colors because the turtle has to move a bit up and a bit left. So we vibe coded a generator for these maps where you just click on a specific road fragments and the colors are assigned automatically. We can also save the image, we can display it, or for example throw it in the trash. Of course, when you work you get hungry. To make matters worse, I got number infinity, so I had to wait a while for food, but I finally got my poor cutlet. You can also see the first signs of spring, but not everywhere. Here, for example, there are just sticks. The dormitory is keeping up with the times. Besides automatic doors, they also show the nearest public transport departures. Okay, I have this old device that I'd like to play around with a bit, and as a learning exercise, read the firmware from it. It won't be the easiest task, because the chip, specifically an STM8208, has read-out protection, so an attempt to read it could result in erasing the entire microcontroller's memory. If you are wondering how professionals create electronics without chaos and with maximum collaboration, the answer is IoT Develop. Imagine an environment where you eliminate the problem of manually emailing files to others, such as mechanical engineer for PCB verification, and start working in real time in one cloud. IoT Develop is an advanced professional central hub that integrates the PCB design tool with the broader ecosystem. With it you can forget about the frustration and delays that come from constantly losing context and having to manually track corrections. There are tutorials online on how to bypass such protections, so I will try. We'll see what comes of it. I have several of these identical boards. I will remove all components from one of them, so it's easier for me to create a schematic to see what is connected to what and why. Here I hit the first roadblock because all the components were covered in a layer of some glue, making them extremely hard to desolder manually. So I used a heating plate to heat all the elements at once, both the electronic components and the glue, so everything could be pulled off easily. Then I removed the solder from the pads using a desoldering wick. I cleaned the whole thing with isopropyl alcohol, and I managed to get the board into a state where I could freely read the traces, even though not all of them survived. Finally, I uploaded before and after photos to Figma, and now it will be easy to read what was where and what it was connected to. Alright, enough fun. Time for responsibilities.
Obity jest mocno, ma 5 HP. No to poszedł. 99 w 8, ja pierdzielę.